Data-centric security. How do we define it and how do we deploy it? Hi, I'm Tom Field, Vice President of Editorial with Information Security Media Group. I'm here today with Matt Pauker. He's the co-founder of Voltage Security. Matt, thanks for joining me today.
Thanks, Tom. Good to be with you.
So organizations traditionally have secured data by containing it. How come that approach doesn't suffice?
Yeah, it's an interesting shift that we've seen in the approach for security for large organizations in particular, where it used to be that people were very focused on protecting the places that data lived. That might be your laptop, for example, and using solutions like whole disk encryption for laptops, or looking at server-based encryption, or a solution that protected just your mobile phone. But increasingly what we're seeing is that data doesn't just live on your laptop. It doesn't just live on your device. Data wants to be free. Data wants to roam and go where it may, and that may mean that your data is moving internally within your organization. It might be flowing externally to partners or up to the cloud. And as a result, this model of protecting the container where the data lives doesn't suffice any longer. You really need a different approach to focus on the data itself.
Let's talk about this. There are dynamic forces at work that are changing our approach to securing data. What are some of these forces? Yeah,
so the threats that we saw perhaps 5 or 10 years ago are not the threats that we're seeing today. The threats that we're seeing today are very sophisticated. We're seeing APTs, advanced persistent threats. These are threats where, for example, you have organizations that may be criminal organizations or even government organizations, overseas government organizations, that are coming in and running very sophisticated attacks on organizations, compromising multiple systems within those organizations, and essentially sitting on those systems for days, weeks, months in many cases, and stealing data from those environments. We also see an increase in spear phishing, where these organizations, these hackers, are targeting specific individuals in an organization and then installing malware onto their laptops, their PCs, their devices, and then using that malware to steal secrets, to steal sensitive customer data. And it's, again, really these new threats that are highlighting the fact that just protecting specific parts of your infrastructure is not sufficient.
So given this as context, define for us, please, the data-centric security approach.
Data-centric security is almost exactly what it sounds like. It's the idea of focusing the protection of your data by protecting the data itself, so that you don't really care whether that data is on a USB stick, whether it's on a laptop, whether it's in the cloud, whether it's in a big data environment. By protecting the data itself, you don't care where it goes anymore. It can be internal to your organization, outside of your organization with a partner. The data itself is the element that you control.
So we hear a lot about big data today. How does the data-centric approach help an organization to leverage that big data and even comply with data privacy regulations they might face?
So big data introduces a whole new set of security challenges for organizations. First of all, you're now taking data that previously was in a bunch of disparate systems and you're aggregating it in one place. It's a dream for a hacker. And now all of a sudden it's not just a small amount of data, it's a huge amount of data. And also because of all this data being brought together, you're often able, if you're an attacker, to identify interesting relationships, to find new uses of that data if you were to steal it. So what that means now is that security in one of these environments is even more critical. But again, it really means that you need that data-centric approach because, again, you're pulling data from a variety of places. You may be leveraging it in a private cloud environment, in a public cloud environment. And so protecting the specific data elements that you care about, whether that's a credit card number, social security number, account information, can allow you to have a consistent approach to comply with the various regulatory compliance and industry requirements that you may be subject to.
So let's bring this back to the business now. What are some of the greater business values that really can be derived from a data-centric approach?
Well, what we like to talk about is return on data. And what we mean by that, when you look at return on data, it incorporates two pieces. How much value can you get out of your data? Ultimately, data serves a business purpose. It helps you close new business faster, identify new opportunities. So how much value can you get out of your data? And then the denominator of that ratio is what's the cost that you have to incur in order to meet the various compliance requirements, to meet the various regulatory requirements that you have. And so what data-centric security allows you to do is to maintain and still retrieve all the value out of your data, to be able to still do all the analytics, discover all the new business relationships from that data, while meeting all of your compliance requirements at the lowest possible cost.
So let's bring this home now. What is Voltage Security bringing to the table here to help your customers to derive business value from their data?
So we're really, again, providing that data-centric security via some revolutionary technologies, things like format-preserving encryption, things like secure stateless tokenization and stateless key management that allow an organization to apply that data-centric approach to their sensitive customer data, corporate data, partner data, intellectual property, making sure that they can protect that data at the earliest point possible when it comes into their environment and keep that data protected wherever it goes. And then be able to leverage that data across big data environments, across cloud environments, across mobile environments, so that they can leverage and get the value out of all these new technologies without opening themselves to new risks.
So, final words of advice from you. Where can organizations begin? Where should they begin their march toward this data-centric approach?
So the most important thing for an organization is to identify what is the data that's sensitive to your organization, and not necessarily worry initially about the 50 or 100 or 150 systems that you may need to protect if you were going to take that container-based approach, but focus on those specific data classes and categories that are important to your business and leverage a data-centric approach to protect that data wherever it might go.
Matt, thank you very much for your time, for your thoughts today.
Thanks, Tom.
The topic has been data-centric security. I've been talking with Matt Pauker. He's co-founder of Voltage Security. For Information Security Media Group, I'm Tom Field. Thank you very much.